Hi there, it's Bike Mike here, and this is the Ortlieb Back Roller Pro Pluses. And these panniers come in at a whopping 70 liters per pair instead of the normal 40, which makes them basically the largest waterproof pannier in the world. So I got these panniers about a year ago, and I didn't want to make a review until I had the time to really test them out. So I figured now after a year I've taken them on a couple of bike tours, including a 10-day tour in Italy last fall. So I'm finally able to make my verdict on these panniers. So what separates these panniers from normal Ortlieb panniers other than the huge size is that you have these extra outer pockets on the front here, which adds an additional 4 liters per pannier. And this came as a pleasant surprise, and after been using them for a whole year, in hindsight I think this is the best feature of the whole bag. So I found myself using them to store my flip-flops, my bike lock and food that I picked up along the way in Italy. And sometimes I found snacks and bananas in the outer pockets that had probably been there for a day or two. Just so you get a feeling on how large these pockets actually are. So I can't say enough great things about these pockets, and hands down they are probably the number one reason why I'm going with these panniers over my normal Ortlieb panniers in the future. So in order to fit the outer pockets, they had to move the attachment for the shoulder straps to the bottom of the bag. And to be honest with you, I can't say that I missed them. And I can't really remember the last time I used them on my normal Ortlieb panniers. So instead I just connect the two top buckles to each other. And you still have the same loop handle as with other Ortlieb bags, so just use that to carry your bags instead. Most of the time I just carry my panniers between my bike and my tent, and usually that's just a couple of meters. So these panniers come with the same quick lock system as with other Ortlieb panniers, and you're provided with 3 interchangeable adapters to be able to fit any rack. To remove the pannier off the rack, you just pull the loop handle and it releases the clips that hold the bag onto the rack. To put the pannier back onto the rack, you do everything in reverse order. You start by sliding the clips back onto the rack, release the handle, and it's attached to the rack. They have the classic roll-up closure system as with other Ortlieb bags, kind of like with a dry bag. And as with many other Ortlieb panniers, the pannier mainly just consists of one huge compartment. You do also have 3 smaller pockets inside of the bag, 2 mesh ones and 1 zippered pocket that's up against the back of the pannier. So who are these panniers for? I can see a couple of scenarios where these panniers could come in handy. And the first one being if you're going on a very long tour, say for a month or so, and you need to pack a lot of things to bring with you. So instead of having a duffel bag on top of your rack and your 2 rear panniers, you'll probably be able to fit everything inside of these 2 panniers. And the second scenario is if you're going on a family bike trip with your kids and you don't want to pack a lot of things onto their bikes and instead carry most of the load yourself. So this has been true for our family a couple of times, and just being able to pedal for a couple of hours is enough for our kids, and I'm glad to carry their gear over to the campsite if they decide to follow along on a family bike camping trip. And the third scenario is one that I experienced myself this fall when I went to Italy. I'm usually torn when I go on international tours if I'm gonna take 4 or 2 panniers with me. And if I go with just 2 panniers, I often have to skip out on a few comfort things or maybe my stove. But if I go with a 4 pannier setup, I usually bring way too much gear. Plus, bringing 4 panniers also costs me a lot of extra money, since I often have to pay extra for my extra luggage. So me going with these 2 panniers is some kind of sweet spot for me. So I'm able to bring along all the gear that I want and don't have to pay extra for extra luggage. So what I did last year when I went to Italy is that I strapped one of the panniers inside the triangle of my bike frame and loaded a bunch of heavy things inside of that pannier. Then I filled the other pannier with a bunch of bulky, lighter items and took that as my carry-on. And since I was able to stay under the 23 kilo or 50 pound limit, I didn't have to pay extra for my bike or my panniers. So it ended up being a really cheap bike tour for me. So in the future, I hope these panniers are gonna end up saving me a lot of money. So if I just bring them on one more international bike tour, they have pretty much paid for themselves already. So overall, I'm super happy with these bags and they serve my needs extremely well. But if you're not going on long international tours or bike touring with your family, these bags might be a little bit overkill. And in that case, you might want to go for the Ortlieb back roller pluses. And I've done a long-term video review on those bags as well. And if you click the link up in the right corner here, I'll see you in that video.